evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Larry LeFury, along with John Francola, and tonight we at WCTV, the all-volunteer cable access group from the Township of Washington, present to you the Bergen County basketball. We call it the Jamboree Show. We'll be talking about last week's game, recapping some of those games, and previewing the games that are going to be played tomorrow at Tenafly and at Northern Highlands. And John, the first round was played last week at Westwood, Bergen Catholic, and Indian Hills. There was 8 games. Now we're down to what I call the second round, or the Sweet 16.
And the games get better and better.
Yeah, there are going to be some nice games that people are going to want to see. There's a couple of storylines we're going to be talking through over the next couple of weeks. What we plan on doing is that we will bring you highlights every Friday up to the 21st, and then after the Jamboree is over, on, I believe it's March 2nd, we'll have a final and recap the entire Jamboree proceedings. So John, last week we had the committee up here. They set the 24 teams. They seeded them 1 to 24. The first 8 teams were given a bye. Team 9 to 24 played it out. We went to 3 games at Bergen Catholic. There were 3 at our home school, Westwood, 2 up in Indian Hills. We'll go through as they put the games up from last week, go through them very quickly, and here they are. We'll keep them up there. As you see, this was the first game we saw was Hasbrook Heights, John, and Bogota, 51-49. That was overtime. It was a very well-played team. I mean, look, 16 and 17, they couldn't do any better to go to overtime and a 2-point win.
If final was 51-49, it was somewhat of an unusual ending to the game. You had one team at that point, Bogota, was ahead. Then all of a sudden, they were ahead by 1 point, and there was less than 2 seconds. The individual went up to shoot. A body was moved out of the way. A layup was made. There was no call. Final score?
Yeah, that was a little controversial.
51-49.
That was a little controversial at the end of the game. Saddle River Day, which is a very good program over the last 5 years. The AD up there, Mr. Brown, he does a very nice job bringing his team around, and he also does a good job as the AD. They beat Dwight Englewood kind of handily, 77-64. We saw the Dumont-Garfield game. You never got an idea that Dumont was going to win that game. You just felt there was something just that Garfield was just playing better and better.
Well, you and I saw them against Westwood, and there was 3 or 4 or 5 players that would contribute in that game. When we were at that game with Dumont, really there was a period, almost a whole quarter plus, that Dumont, the only person that scored was Dominic Barlow. And the guys that were supposed to score couldn't make anything. It was a game that he played probably the best game that he had all year, but they lost. Garfield was a very good team, and they played defense. They shot well.
I think Dumont, the coaches, the players, walked off that court at Bergen Catholic extremely disappointed that they didn't play better. They thought they could have played better. But I just thought that the way that game for that day is just a matter of style. And Garfield's style matched up better with Dumont, and they were able to beat them. We'll go on to the other scores now that come up on the screen. John, Fairlawn Midland Park. Paul and Rookie and John Ryan were here last week, and they mentioned Fairlawn as to be a very, very difficult team. They won kind of easily against Midland Park. 3 of their top players have never been on the court together for injuries or if they got sickness. Tomorrow they'll be on the court together, and they're tall. They're 6'3", 6'4".
This team is a team we don't see much. They played teams in the west part of the state. They are outstanding. They have great shooters, and this is a team. Whoever plays Fairlawn, you better have your A game.
You know, I met the coach last year, Kyle Sabella. Went over to Fairlawn to watch them. We were going to do their game last year in the opening rounds of the last year's Jamboree. And you could just see that he put a program in. It was starting to grow. We all discussed it last week right here at this table. That's a team to watch. That Fairlawn team, I'm very interested to see how they play. And I won't be surprised if they pull an upset tomorrow.
Well, they play Ridgewood.
We're going to get to Ridgewood.
Yeah, that's a fantastic game. We'll talk about that game.
We'll get to that. You're right. They pulled the top. But you know something? I want to see them play somebody good. And see just
7-10 is always a good match.
All right, then we'll move along with the scores. Pascat Kills, my gosh. We've been doing Pascat Kills like 15 years going up to Northern Highlands. They have a great system up that school. Coach Kirkby is no longer there, but the system is there. They run just a great offensive plays. They play good defense.
Every time they have a play, there's always a play, and they all run. When you play Pascat Kills, you better be able to guard man-to-man. If not, they're going to kill you. All of them can shoot from outside. All of them can go in and make a layup. So it's a team. You play your A game or you lose.
All right, now we're going to have the final script. We'll just keep it on here. Richfield Park, we hope to talk to the head coach, Chris Gaskin. He beat Beckton, the score 65-58. I felt that was a little, to score doesn't indicate that I thought how they handled them. It's a tough team, Richfield Park there. They're like gritty. They just grind those games out. They're not tall, but they just gritty team and play very well and well coached.
Remember, in that game, it was tied at 44.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, Beckton team had lost 3 games in a row right then coming into that game. They're an excellent team, but this team, and we'll talk a little bit more about Richfield Park, about their players, they had 5 players. Each one scored at least 10 points or more in a game. So they played fantastic. And they had a guard, a young man for Beckton. I love this name, Nicola Mitaronda.
He scored 28 points that night?
29 points. 29 points, but he was the offense. He's 6'3", a senior, and they were able to 44 at going into the fourth quarter.
That was
and Richfield Park with 5 players, all scoring close to 10 points, shooting, running, and playing defense, won the game.
And that was those games were very well. I think they got a nice crowd at Bergen. We were there, and tomorrow now it's at. We'll go over the times and everything a little later as we get into tomorrow's games. Now you have the Sweet 16. Now tomorrow we play, and by tomorrow night at this time, we'll be down to the Elite 8 that will play following week at FDU. So we're going to try to get Chris Gaston on the line as we look at tomorrow's schedule at Northern Highlands. Paramus Catholic versus Dwight Morrow. We had the head coach here for Paramus Catholic, Mike Dodov. He coached at Cresskill. We knew him there. He did well. Okay, they tell us we have Coach Gaston. Coach Gaston, can you hear us? This is Larry LaFury with John Francola, WCTV.
Hey, Larry, John, how are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing very well. Coach, let's just talk very quickly about last week's game in the Jamboree. That was a tough-fought game. Beckton gave you everything. What was the key to your success last week?
Well, we really played poorly in the first half, and that was, a credit to the Beckton. They played very well. We struggled in our half-court offense. We were getting out-hustled everywhere. But, we made a little bit of a run at the second quarter, and as much as Beckton, in my opinion, outplayed us the entire first half, to just be down 3 at the half was very critical for us to go up into the locker room and regroup and basically admit the fact that, guys, we're fortunate to be where we are. We're a pretty good team. We certainly could have been down a lot more. Let's just regroup and let's get back out there. And one thing that we've really prided ourselves on all year is playing good defense. And as much as offensively we struggled, we knew that we had to do a better job defensively against them. And we really think we picked up our defense and, we were able to overcome some adversity along the way. So, second half obviously went a little better our way, except for our poor free throw shooting at the end. But, again, when you're relying on 14 to 18-year-old boys as a high school coach to get things done, you know that everything's not always going to go smoothly.
Chris, I was doing a book and just checking this game, and at the end of 3 quarters, the score was 44-44.
No, we were down 1, 45.
Oh, 1. All right. That could have been the 1 point that I was missing. You know, we were watching everything. There was 3 or 4 of us there. But then, all right, so you're going into the fourth quarter. You're 1 point up, 1 point or even. Now you have a situation. You have that young man in the middle against you, number 10, Nicola Mitarotonda. This young man, 29 points. He had unbelievable fourth quarter, but you guys had the speed and the intensity and the defense to get that win. Congratulations on that job, really.
Thank you. You know, he was outstanding all day. He was knocking down threes. He had some old school Kevin McHale moves down on the post. I mean, he's gonna be a dominant player after he's done playing like in a men's league in the future, because he really had some outstanding moves around the basket. And you know, I'm sure he's a pleasure to coach. I know a lot of my guys play travel basketball with him, and he was outstanding. So you know, for us to overcome his effort and their team just really gave a great effort. It was definitely gratifying for us because you know we didn't play a great game, but we were able to overcome. And basketball season's such a grind, and to be able to overcome some adversity and some tough times, you know, that was something that, you know, it was a learning lesson for our guys, and I think it will help us in the future.
Coach, just slightly Fury, how would you describe your team? People who are going to come to Tenafly to watch the game tomorrow, you're going to play Hackensack. We'll talk about that for a second. How would you describe your team, the personality of your team, to the folks who are coming tomorrow to watch your game at 11 o'clock at Tenafly?
Well, you know, if I was going to describe them physically, you're going to say, boy, they're pretty small. I mean, we start 3 junior guards who are all 5'9". I have a sophomore 6'1", a senior 6'1". We don't have a lot of size, but I think that they'll enjoy, you know, how tough our kids are. They play physical. They play together. They're really committed to one another. You know, I'm pretty fortunate. Besides being their coach, I have a lot of these young men in my classes at school, and you know, I say all the time, I think they're a really high character group of individuals, and I think they show that way. They don't trash talk. They don't open up their mouth. They just play basketball. They play hard. They play together. They're committed to one another. I think they're a fun group of kids to watch because it's kind of like an old school mentality. They just play hard.
You know, Coach, putting my coaching hat on, you know, a long time ago, but going against your team and looking at them, you had 5 individuals that were playing together, can all score. So if I'm playing the defense, I have to figure out which of these 2 or 3 or 4 young men can I get out of the game. And that's the reason in your fourth quarter, they couldn't stop you, because if they went to one individual, the other one had the ball and made the basket. So to me, you know, as a coach, you love to have that because now you can do anything against anybody.
I've coached teams in the past where we had kids averaging 20-plus points a game who are all county players. And, you know, I've had other teams that, you know, we had a couple kids. This team, you know, I have 5 starters who are averaging between, you know, 7 and 11 points per game. They really share the ball well. And in all honesty, a couple of them, you know, could certainly shoot a little bit more, but that's okay. They're just invested in playing team basketball and doing what's best for the team. And I can't tell you, I mean, this is my 18th year coaching varsity, and I've been part of the Ridgefield Park program for 27 years now. I've never been around a team that have had 5 starters, you know, basically all averaging the same amount of points.
You know, Coach, very quickly, can you give, again, the fans just a quick snapshot of what Hackensack presents?
What do they present? They're very good. They're very well coached. You know, they have Sharif Seth Brown, who, ironically, I coached against his father back in the day when he played in the Jamboree, and he was an outstanding player. They just got back one of their players, Kevin Mateo, who can shoot it from the parking lot. They got a bunch of guys who really play hard. They get to the rim. They're obviously very athletic, and they run a lot of good little sets. You know, some high screen and roll, some scissor cuts. I'm sure as a fan they're a fun team to watch, because as a coach they're kind of a nightmare. So I'm kind of still breaking down some films right now, hoping to be as prepared as we possibly can be.
But you know, Coach, having these 5 players that you've been talking about, averaging 8 to 10 points, 11 points, unselfish, with that kind of a group of kids, we may be able to stop that offense of Hackensack by sharing the ball.
We have to rebound the basketball, and we have to limit their transition. And honestly, we have to do a better job running our sets. We got to take a little time off the clock, and then when we get an open look, we have to make it.
Coach, one final thing for me, Larry Fury. The Jamboree, what does it mean to the program that you're in it now, and what does it mean to you as a coach that the Jamboree means?
Listen, I mean, I grew up in Bergenfield, graduated in 1989 when only 16 teams made the county tournament, and I never was fortunate enough to be part of it as a member of the Bears. So when we first made the tournament, when I was an assistant coach at Richfield Park, I was as thrilled as the kids were. And to this day, you know, I know there's a lot of complaints and there's, you know, gripes about this and that. To me, the Bergen County Jamboree is the most prestigious tournament in the state of New Jersey, the longest running, and I try to impart that same feeling and wisdom to my players, that it's really special to be part of it. So I think they know the tradition of the tournament, and me personally, anytime that we're in this tournament, I feel like it's a major accomplishment as a coach and for our program, and I'm always excited to be on that list the night that the selections are made.
Well, Coach, John Francola and I, we have the same sentiments when we talk about the Jamboree. We've been covering it from '93, and we still think it's one of the better tournaments around, and we wait every year for the Jamboree. It's almost like waiting for Christmas. Both of us, we want to wish you all the luck tomorrow against Hackensack. We will be there. John and I will be there to chart the game, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Give my best to all your players, and most important, thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us for a few minutes here. We surely appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. For years, I've watched you guys from afar, and obviously now being the liaison with Paul Puglisi and the guys, I know how much you guys do for everybody involved with this tournament. So thank you as well, and I definitely look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. That's Chris Gaston. He's the head basketball coach at Richfield Park. He's getting ready for tomorrow. And John, you talk to all these coaches, even if they get knocked out in the first round, it's so prestigious to get into this Jamboree and to play. It's like you made it. I want to get into it. Whether you're the 24th seed or the first seed, I want to get in, I want to get play. But just once, like a couple of years ago, Cresco got to the semifinals.
Oh, fantastic.
A small school. And we remember doing our first championship game. Maybe we were spoiled. Bogota won the championship. That's the last time a small school won. And we did the game. And Jay Mahoney was the coach, and he coached again last week at the Bergen County.
He had a little concussion.
Well,
he would have went nuts that game.
Yeah, he got hit. He was injured, and he was kind of subdued, and the assistant coaches took over. Now let's look what's coming up tomorrow at Tenafly and at Northern Highlands. There will be 4 games in each. We'll take them one at a time here. We have Northern Highlands High School, Paramus Catholic versus Dwight Morrow. If Ricky can just stay on this, so we'll talk a little about each one of these things real quickly. We talked about Paramus Catholic last week with Mike Dodo. They beat St. Joe's at St. Joe's, and they beat Don Bosco at Don Bosco. Those 2 wins there are signature wins. You could see the program now starting to take off at Paramus Catholic, and there'll be a force, I think, in the future too.
They were here, and of course we talked to the young man who made that final shot with nothing but net.
Yeah.
And looking at that young man in that interview, Larry, he was in heaven. You know, you look at it, you shoot that shot, it's 20-some feet, nothing but net, and you look around and you say, my God, we won the game. That's life.
And they do have a very big center. We didn't have him here, Derek Borno. He's a junior. The next, Ramsey and Saddle River Day. Ramsey is a very, very tough school. Every year they play well. Sean Hansen, I think he's been there 4 years.
Yeah.
We called his name over the last 4 years. He's a 6'9" senior. I think he's going to Cornell. And that team is a very, very good team. That could be extremely dangerous.
They could win 2-3 games. They're good. They have outside shooting and they have inside play. That's the two components that you need. At Ramsey, you got to be able to shoot a three to play, and they can shoot the three. So you got to play defense against them, or they'll beat you.
And they are tremendously coached team. They coach well. Saddle River Day. I remember we got a kid by the name of Cryer last year who was an outstanding player. And John, over the years, we've seen Saddle River Day in all sports. We watch everything. You and I got to tell the folks here. They've gotten better and better and better, and here they are now in the Jamboree, and they're playing tomorrow, and they're playing at the 12:45 game. So that should be very interesting. The next game, Ramapo, Pascack Hills. I mean, these are like old friends of ours. We have Joe Sandberg. We knew when he played basketball and football for Don Bosco, and now he's coaching in Ramapo.
Sandberg was at Bergen.
Bergen, I'm sorry, he's a Bergen.
Football, yeah.
I always get them confused.
I know the whole family when these kids were 8, 9 years old, because my son was the same age and used to play together. So I know the Sandberg, I know the father does a great job coaching with him. What you have here, Larry, you have two teams that run offense and defense. Sandberg will call offense, full court plays. Pascack Hills, we know Pascack Hills. They run the offense, they play defense. This is going to be a fantastic game between two outstanding team and great coaches.
Yeah, they have a player that I think we know, which is Hanson, and on Ramsey, and for Joe Sandberg's team, Panetti. And every time we look up, Panetti was playing. This is Matt Panetti, and he's an outstanding player. Just one of the players there. And then Pascack Hills, we'll just want to mention that one of the assistant coaches there is Mike O'Brien. He's been there forever. I think he's been there as long as we're doing games.
He was in the Knights. He was in the Knights in town. So that's where I met him the first time.
Bergen Catholic, oh my gosh, Bergen Catholic against Hasbrook Heights. We talked a little bit about the Hasbrook Heights. Bergen Catholic's got those guards, John. I mean, they got Zoner in the middle that is just unbelievable. But then they have one of the quickest, I'm not going to say the quickest guard, because I'm trying to think of T-Neck.
I can give you those names.
I'm trying to think, yeah, I'm going to make it. I'm thinking of T-Neck, when T-Neck played with that famous coach, I lost his name.
Curtis March.
Curtis March. And he had some quick guards there with Nurse and Green. But the guards that Bergen had, we saw them up at St. Joe's. What speed.
We'll give the people. We were there, and I did a little bit of book just to see the team. Zona was sick. He only had 6 points. But he's talking about these 4 guards. They all can take the ball and go to distance. They had a kid by name Will Richardson, number 1. He had 24 points. Jay Brown, number 2.
Now, Richardson is the sophomore.
Sophomore. Then Jay Brown, number 2, 32 points. Then you had Figueres, 11 points. Jasmine Davis, 4 points. They all can go to the hoop. They dribble, and you got to play man-to-man to have any chance against this
I don't know if you can play man-to-man.
Zone will kill you.
Would you say, just an aside, the Bergen Catholic St. Joe's game up at St. Joe's 2 weeks ago, I've never seen faster guards against each other. They were up and down the court.
And once they go to the bigger court,
that's
going to be, you track me. And the team, they'll shoot from 30, 35 feet out. They don't care.
So those are the games at Northern Highlands, started at 11, 12:45, 2:30, 4:15. I think there might be a little break between the 12:45 and the 2:30 game, a little break. Playing simultaneously where we're going to be at Tenafly. We talked a little about Hackensack and what they bring. They got a kid by the name of Tariq Brown, I believe. He's scoring over 20 points. And you have Richfield Park. We just had Coach Gaston. Now we go down to Don Bosco in Garfield. Now, Don Bosco has one of the better, I think, all-around players, does everything, and Miles Ruth. I think that kid is just an outstanding ball player. He was injured last year in the championship game, didn't play, and Bosco was very hurt by that. Against Garfield, who we talked about when they beat Dumont.
Yeah, Garfield's a very good team. They're big, but Don Bosco can run, and they have size, and they have coaching. So that is a game that Garfield has to stay close to have any chance. If Bosco jumps on and scores 10, 15 points early, turn
Yeah.
out the lights,
Yeah.
the party's over.
Yeah, I think Garfield's going to have to. I don't know how the style they want to play against Don Bosco. I would think you'd slow it down a little bit, try to stay close,
Get clear
stay
shots.
close, and maybe have a gigantic steal at the end of the game in the forecourt. They are a big team. They got some athletes there, so you got to give them a shot. I know Coach Kevin DeVario is telling his kids, you could lose this game. They're a good team.
Sure.
Because he was there. We saw him in the stands scouting the game, and he was shaking his head like, all right, these guys aren't bad.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
They run well, and they're decent inside.
Yeah,
You got to play your A game.
right. I'm looking at this game, Ridgewood and Fairlawn. John, I look at this game here, and that's the game that intrigues me the most of the 8. How about you?
Totally agree. Fairlawn is an outstanding team. Nobody sees them. They're good. They're big. They're strong. They're going to play defense, and you're going to have both teams. Ridgewood's another one that's a system. They have a system. They play it. They can play defense. They shoot from the outside. It'll be. I see this game 3, 4, 5 points by the end. One team beats the other
Yeah,
team.
got a kid by the name of Devin Johnson. He's their point guard. He sets everything up. That game, I'm just wondering about the 3 players that Fairlawn is bringing in, and they're 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", and they're big kids. The coach here last week, very intrigued. The committee is very intrigued with Fairlawn, and they got a very good coach in Kyle Sabella. Outstanding. Had a chance to meet him last year, and I was very impressed with him. And then finally, we have St. Joe's Regional in Cresco. St. Joe's is almost a carbon copy of Bergen Catholic. They may not have that tremendous big guy like Zoner in the middle, but boy, do they have guards too.
Nazir Williams, outstanding. He had a quiet first half against Bergen Catholic. Then you have Diary Rogers, 24 points in that game. So they have the guards. They're going to run the court. They want the big court.
Oh, yeah, they want big.
And Mike Doherty expects everybody plays defense. You don't play defense for Mike Doherty, you do not play.
And Cresco comes to play every game, especially Jamboree. They have a history of exciting the people and doing the unexpected and making shots. And we were there when they beat Hackensack 2 years ago. It was amazing.
That was
the
okay.
Rothman Center was shaking, but you never know. They can come back and maybe throw a scare into St. Joe's tomorrow.
I bet they have at least one Croatian on the team.
Well, who's doing that?
Down there, they have them.
So-
Remember we caught the father?
Well, I know.
We had to apologize to the father because the father did not want to be on TV. And when his son had that fantastic game that beat Hackensack, and we had him picture, and tears were coming down from his eyes. My God, it was great.
Yeah.
He wanted to kill us.
Yeah, he did. Here is the setup as we WCTV's scoreboard on the Jamboree, the 64th annual Oscar F. Thompson Memorial Bergen County Jamboree. You see that where Hasbrook Heights won, and then you have Rampo. And there's your game. That's the Sweet 16. The winners will then move on to the right bracket where we will play 4 games on the 16th of February, the quarterfinals at the Rothman Center. I believe the times will almost match what we're playing today, 11 and 2, but I think it might be some more like 5 and 7. There'll be a break there at the Rothman Center to push it. We can get everybody out. Everybody takes a breather. We take a rest. We get something to eat. Come back. Now the semifinals. This will be a change. This will be Saturday, the 22nd of February, because of a conflict at the FDU. That court at the Rothman Center cannot be used. There's going to be a men's and women's basketball game on that Saturday. They need Saturday and Friday for practices, so it cannot be used. Hackensack was gracious enough, as Paul Pugliese, the chairman, said last week, and Rookie Corcoran, the co-chairman, and John Ryan, they all mentioned on the show last week that they're so very happy that Hackensack offered the school. The semifinals will be there. The tentative time, I haven't gotten this in
5 and 7,
in stone.
is it?
It's going to be 6 and 8.
6 and 8.
6 and 8. Now that could change.
Yeah.
We'll have it on our We'll have it on our website. They'll tell everybody. It'll be all over. Everybody will know about
And
it.
if there's snow outside,
Well, then if it
then
snows,
it may be 7 and 9.
it could be 9 and 11.
Because we know about snow in Hackensack.
And then the championship game culminates. February is all basketball every weekend. The Friday, February 28th, championship game, Rotman Center on the campus of Fairleigh Dickinson University. That'll be the championship games. So that's the schedule of the Jamboree. We've gotten one by tomorrow at this time. We'll have 2 rounds done. We'll be looking at the quarters, and then we got 3 left. And as big as it is, as great as it is, as fun as it is, goes fast.
Very fast.
It makes February, even February with the 29th day is a short month.
You know, Larry, we're going to try next year to get back.
Oh, well.
If we have to go out and get camera people and,
Well,
and get everybody healthy.
Well, we have to explain to the people what we're talking about, so I might as well.
Well, you might as well, yes.
I'll try to explain this as quickly as I can. When the spring came, John and I made plans to go away with our family. And for always and always, always, by the 22nd of the month of February, the Jamboree was finished. But because of leap year and the way Thanksgiving fell, the week dropped 1. So instead of being around for the finals, we're leaving for the semifinals, or John will be around, and the finals, we're leaving. So I sat down with my wife, I got my children. We had a long, you sit around with the family, a very important meeting. It was very important and short meeting. It went like this: no vacation in February ever again. Vacations will be the first week of March.
That's right. Exactly. My sentiment, exactly like yours. We can't miss it.
No.
It's too important for us.
I may stay home anyway.
We love it.
Like we did.
Well, I can
Stay
make
home.
believe. I'll stay. Maybe I'll just get sick and stay for the final game.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed the show. We'll do this next week again. We'll be talking about the Sweet 16, and then we're going to get ready for the quarters when we have those games being played at FDU. We hope you enjoy it. We want to thank Coach Gaston for taking time to come on. We'll try to get Coach again next week. Maybe some of the committee members will come on. So we thank everyone. So we want to thank all the volunteers at WCTV. Fred and Emily here inside is, I believe, Ricky and Shane. For John Francola, Larry Ferry, go tomorrow, either Tenafly or Northern Highlands. You'll have a wonderful afternoon. You'll see some great games and meet some wonderful people. For all of us at WCTV, goodbye and see you next Friday night.